Okay. I just have to ask.
Because we can't get into that one. He's got a remote for me. Here. That's that one that's going out.
All right. I'm good, Scott. Okay. It's 6:02. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Village Board work session for Monday, August 24th. We're here in the Village Hall Boardroom. Megan, would you take roll call, please?
Trustee Riggs?
Here.
Trustee Banoski?
Evening.
Trustee Woika?
Hello.
Trustee Nazarian?
Here.
And Mayor Dameratz.
Here. Guests we have this evening, we unfortunately do not have Chief Whitaker here with us this evening. He had a personal issue that he had to take care of, and he will be joining us, I think, next month. But we're very, very happy to have Superintendent of Electric, Matt Haggerty, here to talk about the electric business here. Before we get started with that, I think, Adam, would you cover the land acknowledgement, please?
Sure. Before we begin this evening, we would like to recognize the Seneca Nation on whose ancestral territory we are gathering. The present-day village of Fairport sits on traditional Seneca land. The Seneca Nation, with the Mohawk, Cayuga, Onondaga, Oneida, and Tuscarora, make up the sovereign Haudenosaunee Confederacy. With respect, we acknowledge the people of the Seneca Nation on whose land we now live. We honor their past, present, and future contributions to and stewardship of this land.
Thank you. So that will take us, we're going to start under new business. And again, unfortunately, Chief Whitaker was unable to join us this evening, but he will be coming to hopefully the next work session meeting next month or the board meeting to give an overview of what's going on with the police department these days. So that is going to move us right into item number 2, which is FMC operations presentation. And again, we're really happy to have Superintendent of Electric Operations, Matt Haggerty, here with us this evening to give an overview of Fairport Electric. I have a really important question. How long have you been the Superintendent of Electric?
I've worked for Fairport Electric for almost 37 years.
Yes.
Superintendent for 6 or so.
Okay. So short timer, huh? You just joined the company, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Good evening.
Thanks.
So, presentation I'm going to share with you tonight is a presentation that I typically do Rotary Club and different, town board and different presentations I've done around. But feel free to stop me, ask questions. We're going to cover a little history, going to cover a little bit of everything. So, okay, Scott,
I'm going to share with the board the comment that we just had. If it's a deep dive that you're looking for, we'll ask that you schedule some time offline with Superintendent Haggerty. But go. Sorry.
you can also cut me off at any time.
Okay, thank you.
Like I said, this is a presentation that we typically cover for different groups. We're not going to cover everything on the agenda, so I'm not going to take you to 10 o'clock tonight. Okay, Scott. So, thank you, AI. So we're going to do a little history. So, Fairport Electric starts. You can keep going here, Scott, as we go through these. 1901. So back then, we have to remember that electricity was just coming across the country. City of Rochester had some lights. Well, the people of Fairport wanted some lights. So the citizens made a decision to basically kind of start their own electric system. So in 1901, they went to the village officials, citizens said, how do we do this? So the next one, Scott, so in March of 1901, they formed the Municipal Commission. And then it gets interesting how it all started. It was water and electric to begin with. So today we'll go all the way to the end, but then we're going to go back through. We serve about 18,000 customers right now. We are one of the largest electric municipalities in the state. We'll have a chart on that later. But the breakup of our electricity is really unique. Because we're the electric municipals, and we helped with the Niagara Falls Power Project, a fair share most of what we use is hydro. So last year's mix was 87% hydro, 9% nuclear, and 4% wind. That's New York State tells us what that mix is, and the mix has always been just about that. So, 1901, they decided they were going to have some electricity. They $28,000 in 1901. You can just imagine how much money that was in 1901 to buy a generator. This was a coal-fired steam generator on, what was John Street, then State Street, is now Liftbridge Lane. I've been here too long because I know all three of those streets. And it served about 40 homes and 12 streetlights in about the center of the village, only at night. And they turned it off during the day. So that went to the next one, Scott. 5 years. They did that just at nights. And then 1906, they started serving it 24 hours a day. We actually found some of the old minutes. 1908, they elected, they had an electric superintendent. It started to become a little more official, as we got more and more customers. You can jump to the next one. So in 1915, we had almost 700 customers. The peak was about a quarter of a megawatt. Right now, we're about 105 megawatts. So that's equivalent to 300 watt bulbs in those 700 homes. So you can just imagine how little they used back then. All right, we'll keep going here. So by 1925, was it the number of customers, was the size of the load? They could no longer generate themselves. So they stopped becoming a generator. They purchased electricity from Niagara Mohawk, which now has become National Grid. National Grid owns the large towers that go through Fairport. They actually get us the power from Niagara Falls and other places. But back then, we were one of their basically industrial customers. So, in 1925, there was no franchise for Fairport Electric. It was still kind of served willy-nilly across the state and across the country how people were served. All right, we'll keep going. So, 1935, we were all the way up to 1.3 megawatts, about 1,600 customers. We actually have this picture, and we've been able to, I think there's 4 out of 6, we've been actually able to find out who these people were. We actually have this down in our operations center on the wall, and there's still 2 unknown that someday we're going to figure this out. But all right, we'll keep going. 1952, they built the first substation. This substation was the one on Turk Hill Road, the Lawler substation. This was, in reality, it was only 15 or MVA is basically a megawatt. We're going to talk about, perfect power factor, but it's, still relatively small, 15 megawatt capacity. But this was a major undertaking up on Turk Hill Road. This was 115,000 down to a lower voltage, which they then distributed. Okay. 1959, this is where it really becomes official. The New York State Public Service Commission was now dividing up franchises. Who could serve what customers in what areas? So Fairport, instead of being just within the village, we were awarded a 27 square mile franchise, all the village, most of the town. And that became official. We can't deviate outside of our lines, nor can an investor-owned, nor can RG&E come into our franchise. Fairport Electric serves the customers within that franchise. Okay. 1962 was big. This is when the Niagara Falls Power Project came online. At that point, all the municipalities across New York State and others helped in federal grants and make the process of permitting to make this happen. So we were awarded electricity from this. So at that point, we stopped buying power as an industrial customer from Niagara Mohawk, and we actually became a NYPA customer, New York Power Authority customer. We were still getting the electricity from National Grid, but it was actually who was providing it was now the Power Authority. Okay? So 1967-68, they doubled the size of Lawler. They put the 3rd and 4th transformer bank in up there. We were all the way up to 34.5 megawatts. Okay?
For clarity, so in the 1959 slide, Power Authority is now generating the power. Niagara Mohawk or National Grid was the one delivering that power.
That's all correct. At that point, we had stopped generating. The Power Authority was most likely giving all hydro, but there are times that you can't generate hydro, so it could be other mix. But they were now our supplier. So in 1967, we're going to 77. We built a second substation out on Hogan Road. This is this was the first 2 transformer banks going in there. We're all the way up to 74.5 megawatts. 1985, they added the 3rd and 4th transformers in there, which is where we stand today. Those two substations provide all the power for Fairport Electric. There are 4 transformers in each one. We obviously updated, put new ones in, but yes, they still overall that scope is the same. So and there we are today with 18,000 customers, about 106 megawatt load.
Real quick question, that's almost 18,000 customers, is that households and businesses?
That's a mix of residential, commercial, large commercial, and industrial.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's also like meters, so within that, there's probably 45,000 residents within.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah, that's customers, yes. I consider a customer a family home as one customer, So circuit maps, we have 32 breakers that go around our system. Like you have a breaker box in your house, you may have a breaker for your kitchen and one for your living room. Well, we have 32 large breakers that feed all over the 27 square miles to feed our customers. Okay. So we'll do a little organization. We'll just jump through here and you can kind of go through all these. Scott, we have the village board, and then below the village board, we have the FMC, which right now is made up of 43 employees. You can keep going, Scott. And so myself, we have a project manager, Lauren Neese, line foreman, Brent Losey, and we have 4 crew chiefs. Crew chief is a person who's typically responsible for 3 or 4 people on a given day. Then we have linemen. These are linemen. Some of them on that list are first-year apprentices just starting out their careers. 20 years old and have a long ways to go, and others, have put, quite a bit of time in. We have 2 engineers, we call them system technicians. We have a meter foreman and meter tester. That makes up the whole meter department. GIS is all of our mapping. One of the things, when I started here, we had paper maps. We went over to digital. Luke has helped us tremendously. We have the best mapping system in the world. I will put that up against anyone's. 3 mechanics. The 3 mechanics do all of the fleet maintenance for the village. They service electric trucks, fire trucks, police cars, DPW. So there's about 150 different vehicles that they service. We have a stock clerk. There are 9 part-time dispatchers. These are the 24/7 people that answer the phone when you call, be it an outage or questions. They also answer the phone for the village DPW. So if you have snow plowing questions, they answer the town of Perrington DPW after hours, along with animal control. So they're busy. So our CFO, Holly Evans, in the village hall. We have a senior account clerk, Ryan McMendes. Miriam Michaels is AP. And then we have 2 customer service reps. And that makes up all of it. The 43 people there, we're a $39 million operation annually. So it's not a lot of people for. So this is one of the interesting things. We started, if you look around Fairport, the housing stock, most of it's, we'll call it late 60s, 70s. There was also a gas moratorium at that time. A lot of houses were built with electric heat. So you see that growth from 1965 to 75. We went from 3,600 to over 9,000 customers. That growth rate was huge. And then we've basically plateaued now. We still, there'll be years that we add 300-400 customers, maybe some apartment buildings or things like that. But you don't see the growth like you did obviously back then as they really built out this system. We are a winter peaker. We sell most of our electricity in the winter. A lot of that stems from all those houses built with pure electric heat. Do we ever become a summer peaker? I don't think so. But they're starting to come a little closer together. But we peak about 90 megawatts in the summer, and we're 105. Our highest historic peak was 121 megawatts one winter. And then it's dropped off. And part of that's efficiency. People replace their heat pumps just because they wear out. If you go buy a refrigerator, it's more efficient than the one you're replacing just because it is. So it's just a lot of those things play into it. Comparison. there's 47 municipals across the state. There's some with 400 or 500 customers. The only one larger than us is Jamestown, the city of Jamestown. They actually also generate electricity. They had a coal-fired, which has become a natural gas-fired generation station. So you'll see them at 19,000 customers, and we're at our 18,000 customers. The average electric municipality across the country is about 2,500 customers. So we are ranked in the larger ones, along with Las Vegas, Sacramento. I mean, there's some monster ones, but it's 2,500 is about the average customer. So we deal with not just internal. We have some external organizations, and you can go to the next slide. You keep going. This will step right through. So New York Power Authority is our. They supply the power, the hydroelectric, to us. They're a great partner. NIMPA schedules all that hydro. So NIPA generates it, but we have to schedule it. We have to say at this hour, at this day, how much electricity are we going to use. So NIMPA schedules that. They also supply the supplemental power that we use above our hydro. IEP is our energy conservation arm. You can keep going. MEUA is kind of the legislative arm, very similar to NIMPA. They help Fairport, instead of Fairport having to have battles by themselves, we get to join with other municipalities, like causes, and join together to help that. And the APPA, American Public Power Association, across the country, the utilities belong to them. Like I said, it's about 2,500 customers is the average base. So we do not generate electricity. We do not own transmission. So it makes federal regulations a lot easier for us. We only do distribution. We distribute the electricity within our system. So, and it gets a little interesting. You think about this, it's only 26 and a half square miles. It's about 360 circuit miles. So a circuit mile, we could have 3 wires that make up 3-phase. A circuit mile is all 3 wires. We're over 600 miles of conductor in our little system that we have to maintain. So you can think about this during all the storms that, when these guys are doing these things. So as you see there, that pole has 2 different 3-phase circuits going one direction to the other. So a circuit mile considers those as a unit of 4. But in reality, there are 12 wires there. So it's the difference between circuit miles. Okay. We also do underground. A little over half of our system is underground. In 1972, the town of Parrington made a regulation that all new construction residential would be underground. So that forced all those subdivisions to underground. In the 70s, underground was still an unheard of practice. Utilities were learning it. We made the same mistakes RG&E and National Grid and everyone else did. Underground was new. You'll see our trucks around the system working. There are 6 large buckets. That happens to be a pole that, we had 3 different guys up in the air. And it used to be poles, the average pole size was 45 or 50 foot. Now we are setting 55 and 60 foot poles as we get more communication vendors on our poles, the Verizons and the green lights, everything goes up. So the trucks get bigger. A bucket truck to purchase today, last 10 or 12 years is about $500,000. So we'll go back to that one slide, Scott, if you can. One of the things that, this happens to be Garnsey Road after a windstorm. We got out there and there's 5 poles laying there. It's the same 18 linemen that we have that have to put this all together. This team that we have is an amazing group of guys. They're small, very efficient, and they work very strongly together. And these usually get done relatively quickly compared to how most people look at it. All right, you can go ahead. Just one of our substations, that's the one on Turk Hill Road. Poles. There's over 4,600 poles in our system. Over 3,500 transformers, pad mount, pole mount transformers. You can just imagine the amount of work it takes. A transformer, you could maybe get 40 years out. A pole, you used to be able to get 40 years. It's going more than like 35 years now. Changed, used to be cedar poles, now they're pine poles, different treatments. You just don't get the longevity out of them you used to. Okay? Just one of our work sites, that's 3 buckets in the air. 99% of the work we do energized. So people don't lose power. So what you see right there is guys working 12,470 volts with their hands, rubber gloves, in the bucket trucks. So people don't lose power. It's a skilled trade, and our guys are very, very good at it. People don't realize that, we work energized lines. That's how people keep their lights on while we're working and replacing things. This happens to be one of our substations, doing some testing, wearing full safety suit and everything else. We do help mutual aid, just like people come to help us when we have big problems. This happens to be one of the storms. If you see in the bottom there's 2 Fairport trucks in that great big mix of trucks. So it's a little bit of everything. This happened to be Watson Road. This was, we went from a nice blue sky day during the day to the evening it changed to rain and we went to snow. We had 17 poles laying on the ground. That goes back probably 10 or 12 years. But once again, it's teamwork. We got people here, Frontier, when they were still Frontier, and they had people, they came to help us. We had power restored within 18 hours. It just is these little things that people forget about. So there's Fairport Electric in a 10-minute description.
I have a question.
Sure.
That hopefully, I've seen presentations on how finances work when you say power, winter peaking versus summer peaking, in a very, very high-level brief way. Can you explain what that means? That the way I've taken it to understand is a lot of the income comes in during the winter time because that's our peak time, and we will make up the rest of the year at that high level of income. Am I doing that correctly?
So we sell more electricity in the winter. People, cold temperatures, electric heat, people use more even with a gas furnace. Your lights run longer, it's darker, longer, so your lights, all of these things, we use more. One of the things that's really come up and probably the most asked question right now is the high cost. Well, we saw last year, the high cost of electricity really didn't have anything to do with the supplemental above our hydro. It was our hydro that cost us all that money to get here. Because we got to remember, the cost of hydro is at the hydroelectric dam in Niagara Falls. To get it here in an ideal world doesn't cost much. But when it's cold out and there's congestion on those transmission lines, sometimes it has to take a detour to get to Fairport, maybe 2 detours, maybe 3 detours to get here. That's where the costs are. So the costs that people saw last year, in reality, had nothing to do with that supplemental that we needed to go above our hydro allocation. Was just to get our hydro to Fairport so we could utilize it. And people forget that. They automatically talk about, Fairport's growing, and it's, that's the reason that, the costs have gone up. But in reality, it's just the system has changed. If we look at the towers, these big steel towers around New York State, you don't see a lot of new ones. They have a long ways to go to upgrade and reconductor and make things bigger. So these types of things that affect pricing.
So real quick, when you say you have to detour them, is it because just lines are down in the wintertime?
It's not
so
down.
It means they can't.
They can only serve so much electricity through. So they're full.
So the cables have a max capacity,
Correct.
and once it hits there, then you have to find
Then
another
you have
way.
to find another way. They're at capacity, so you got to find another way to get it here.
And then I'm assuming just that cost of rerouting everything, does that get distributed to everyone? Because
It's called
without
congestion.
getting too sciencey, it's not like this electron is mine and that electron's yours, right?
It actually is. We get just like you have a meter at your house. Fairport as a system has a meter, so it's they take that meter from Niagara Falls, and then depending on they can follow those electrons. Yeah, yes, you pay if that detour goes down to Pennsylvania border and goes back up, or it takes a different line. All of those things are added in congestion charges, which is what makes up our PPAC. One of the things that make up our PPAC charges, that purchase power adjustment clause, and that's what the purpose of that is monthly, to basically true up what the costs are to get us the electricity here.
It's gonna make money, remember, we're private owned, so we don't know the cost of shipping, for everything we do. shipping to your house for that shirt for $20, and there's another one, if you want it overnight, it's $200, right? Supply and demand is no different. So when there's more demand than the supply allows it, the costs go up, right? And that's what we're having.
Yeah, it's a really,
Pay for all the people who use their vehicles for transmission lines to get to their power.
it's really changed. I mean, the last 10 years, I mean, the growth, the lack of growth in transmission replacements, generation, they've we've increased demand overall, in the state, but we haven't increased supply. There are no new generation stations. And we have to remember, we're building solar and we're building wind, and those things are, great at times, but we can go back to January, when the panels are covered in snow, they're not generating. So what has to generate that electricity during those things? It's higher cost, generation that they have to bring back online. So that's what's got to catch up right now.
Tracy, I think you have a question.
Because of the congestion, which we're seeing recently as well as, slowly over 10 years, does that equate to New York State as a state is using so much more electric than other fuel options? I mean,
Well, it's not. New York State's actually using less historically than efficiency. I mean, like I said, talked about refrigerator, really simplifying things. If we look at the state as a whole, on the hottest days, yes, they may hit a historic peak, but overall, the average, they're using less than the historic ones. Part of it is without generation, there used to be generation plants kind of spread out across the state as they mothballed ones and took ones offline and didn't replace them. Now we have less generation stations. Well, how do we get it? It's through the same transmission lines that used to be there. So that's where the bottleneck is right now. It's getting it across the state. Does that make sense?
yeah, it's
Okay.
going to have to sink in to
Okay.
think that, that there's a lot of moving parts, but the overall is, as a state, we're more efficient with our use and we're actually using less electricity historically.
Fairport, our highest peak was 126 megawatts. I mean, last winter we were at 106. That's 20 megawatts we didn't have to buy, didn't have to sell. It's those things. Will we get back to 126? Yeah. I mean, this year was a normally cold winter. It wasn't extremely cold, wasn't. I mean, we can call it whatever we want. It's a normal winter. I mean, if we look at heating degree days and cold degree days, those are things that, it was a normal winter. So, but until supply generation catches up with building transmission lines, the costs will remain high. We don't see that, we should expect, if this winter was just like last winter, we should expect similar pricing.
So in other words, in New York, we need more transmission lines and more generation.
That's how you alleviate.
Right.
We've increased demand. Now we have to increase supply.
Right.
And how it
So-
gets here.
Right.
Right.
So I have two questions to kind of
Sure.
follow up on both of those things. When you're talking about how much electricity is used and the efficiency factor of it all, how does the increase in EVs or using other electronic things, like whether it's a EV car or it's a service truck or a lawnmower, like how does that all impact?
Right now
What is the impact?
At one point, I mean, I don't know if at one point we had the highest density of EVs per zip code. It was one of the things that Power Authority partnered with us because of that. Did we see a noticeable change? Not really. I mean, did we see our summer? I mean, things kind of balance. I mean, we brought more EVs on, but maybe the air conditioning became, because people switched to heat pumps, it became more efficient, so they kind of balanced each other. We are using less than when we sold pure electric heat. As we go back into heating homes with more electricity, we're going to use more. Our demand is going to go up, and obviously the pricing will go up also with that. But it's a balance. Once supply and transmission catch up with that, should, I won't say equal, but should go towards a more equal point than they are right now.
Fair enough. And my other question, when you're talking about generation of power, and obviously Fairport Electric does not generate power, but do you have any idea if, in addition to solar and wind, is there any push towards using geothermal or other?
Geothermal is great. Our operations center is geothermal. I mean, we installed that in 2000. It's a wonderful system. The payback for us back then was still under 7 years. But we had the space to do it also. We have 6 wells that are 1,000 feet deep on our property. That's what heats and cools the operations center. So we had enough space to drill those wells. I mean, most houses, but geothermal's gotten way better than, over the last 25 years. It's a wonderful asset. It's cost is what it comes down to. It's as cost maybe comes down, more people utilize it, hopefully. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a good way of doing things, but it's like a heat pump. I mean, it works for some, doesn't work for others. So,
And there's restrictions about like where you can use geothermal, like if you're close to a body of water or if you are if you just don't have enough space. There's restrictions for like home usage.
yeah, I mean, there's certainly, we have newer restrictions that we did not back then. There are restrictions now, like if today we would not be able to drill the wells that we drilled in 2000. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
I want to ask one follow-up question to what Heidi's asking about. If the cost could come down, could you see there being properties with the current, not the regulations that there were in 2000, but with the current set of regulations? We can't envision what might happen 10 or 15 years from now. But if we had today's regulations and the cost of installing came down a bit, could you see properties in the village that actually are in the village that could utilize geothermal, that they have enough space?
Presently, there is one in the village. It's on South Main Street. It's one of the large lots. It takes space. Even as
Okay.
good as the technology has gotten, it still takes space. In reality, air-based heat pumps have gotten a lot better. So do more residents utilize that? Doesn't take up the space in the yard. But a normal village lot most likely does not have enough space to do the ground grid for what geothermal requires.
Could you see that as a possibility in the town of Perrington on some of those lots?
There are some lots that certainly, are large enough for that. And there's actually, we have a dozen or so probably out in the town, we've worked with over the time. But yeah, and there's larger the lot, you certainly have some space.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions? Adam, I can't see the other end of the. Are you good?
No, I'm good. I was just thinking about geothermal. You're seeing it in schools that have huge, when they're upgrading their boiler systems and old systems and looking for long-term strategic planning, you're seeing a real rise in geothermal for schools because they have the sports fields, they have the real estate, and willing to put that investment in making those properties much more efficient going forward into the future. But it is the space and being able to double use it. That was my thought. Doesn't
Okay.
really relate, but
No, it does. It does. Okay, then I want to thank you very much for coming in this evening and spending some time with us.
Anytime.
And I think everybody here on the board has your email address, and if you should have a follow-up question, I would encourage you to send it to Matt. And when he's not helping everybody else get those poles up and down and all around, we could maybe set up a follow-up or something like that.
Happy to talk about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, so that was item number 2. I'm going to continue along because I think most of these are pretty quick. And then we also have a supplemental agenda with 2 items on it. And before we go to item 1 on the supplemental, Nancy will get Oktoberfest out of the way and we'll move you to first on there. So Item number 3 of tonight's agenda is a motion to authorize a block party on Erie Crescent in the cul-de-sac for Friday, September 11th, 2026, from 4 to 9 p.m.
So moved.
Okay, Sarah got it in first. Who got it in second? Tracy. Okay. So Nazarian Briggs. Any questions from the board? Megan, you're all set with everything you need? Okay. Then I hope these residents have a fantastic evening with great weather. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? That will be unanimous, and may the sun and non-rain gods be present that evening. That will take us to item 4, a motion to authorize a block party on Woodlawn Avenue for Saturday, September 12th, 2026, from 3 to 9 p.m.
So moved.
By trustee Briggs,
Second.
by trustee Benoski. Any questions from the board? Okay, so that's the next day. So we're going to have a rain-free Friday and Saturday evening or afternoon for both of those days. Without any questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? That will be unanimous, and it won't be the 4th, it'll be the 11th and the 12th, but may the sun force be with you on those evenings. Item number 5 is a motion to enter into a professional services agreement between Labella Associates and the Village of Fairport for Fairport Fire Station Number 1 Building Envelope Study for determining water infiltration and moisture probability. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
By trustee Nazarian,
Second.
by trustee Wojka. Brian, could you give us a brief overview?
Sure.
I'm going to say pull the microphone back a little because it echoes when you get it too close.
Sure. Yeah, we just want to do a little further due diligence on this. We're still getting some moisture and infiltration in the basement area because it's a little bit subterranean. And before we go and start doing building envelope work and rehab work within the building with the finishes, you want to make sure you catch all of that. We've got dehumidifiers running and stuff, but it's still creeping in somewhere, and I think it's due to initial design or however this was constructed. So we want to make sure we understand what that looks like and what are the types of methods we can use to kind of mitigate that before we start putting back drywall and insulation and those types of things. So we're still seeing some of that.
Questions from the board? Sarah, do you have any comments from your time with the fire department?
Nope. Sounds like what they're expecting.
Okay.
And this is 60 days they hope to do this as soon as we execute?
As soon as we can, yeah. They know time's of essence. It is. But we want to be able to do it quickly.
If you're going to fix it, do it right.
Well, we have to, otherwise we're just pushing it down, and we may be able to hide for all of us for the next 10 or 20 years, but it's going to rise its head again. So let's do it right. Let's fix it correctly, make sure the environment's safe, and move on.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? That will pass unanimous. Lee. Item number 6 is a motion to enter into professional services agreement between MRB Group and the Village of Fairport for the purposes of Downtown Revitalization Initiative and the New York Forward Application Assistance and Grant Writing Services. Can I have motions, please?
So moved.
By trustee Benoski,
Second.
by trustee Wojka. Thanks. I'll state from my perspective, Sarah and Heidi and I attended the OSED planning meeting on, it was a week ago Monday, and they put money into their budget to assist in the same way year over year to move forward with the DRI application. I'll let you talk about our side.
Okay, yeah. So we've been working through this with MRB to do the old college, try to get another application in. I think for a de minimis cost to help facilitate this, which we're going to write a big portion of that. It's worth trying. We're talking about $10 million, and a lot of that money, again, it's catalyst money. So we're not doing infrastructure project with us so much as we're trying to do that to invest in existing facilities, infrastructure, and parcels here that have potential for more. And have that seed money to do that. So those become economic drivers in the community. That's what the Downtown Revitalization Initiative is. It's not just, hey, do a streetscape project, right? We've already done that. And so we have about a month to 6 weeks to kind of get moving on this thing. We're a little behind the 8 ball on it. But I think it's worth doing. I mean, for a de minimis amount, I think that the max out-of-pocket cost for the village is, I think, $7,500. And that's the max that it'll be. For a $10 million opportunity is worth it. You know, we got some great feedback, as you recall from our conversation last year with this. You know, they said, you know, your recommendations were great, your proposal was great, your application was well written. In the end, without getting in all of it, there was more deserving communities, meaning communities that are less fortunate with some of the economic vitality that's happening. And also that they really like to see more housing projects where you can fit them in if possible, right? So we're really going to try to drive that forward with this grant and see what we can do to be successful.
Questions from the board?
So some of the application, are the projects going to all change? Some of them will, some of them might.
I think they will. In the end, you know, we just found out about our unapproval of this in late spring. So, and it's only August now. So, I mean, the community didn't change overnight, and it's not going to. I mean, our parcels and opportunities aren't going to change drastically. I just think maybe trying to look for ways where some of the existing parcels and opportunities are there opportunities to do some other mixed-use related projects. I think that's what they're looking for, and to work with the private property owners to see if that's something they'd be willing to invest in and contribute. I think it's a big part of it, and also just, you know, really trying to maximize the different projects that we have. And I think with that, I wish we could do some of the existing projects we're doing. I mean, there are some mixed-use properties happening over on Lithbridge Lane East now and some other projects. But you know, we're gonna try and see what we can do. And again, you're gonna do a call for projects again. A lot of it will continue, and we'll see if it's something where we can find some opportunities. I think to not do it would be foolish for $7,500. Try. In the end of the day, if it was this massive lift, it's taking 5 people for 6 months to work on this thing and a significant cost. You got to kind of outweigh that cost benefit. But for something like this, I think we have a good head start. We have a great foundation application already there. Let's tweak that and take the considerations that were provided to us in our exit interview, and see if we can modify that to have a winning application.
Any other questions? I know OSED is preparing to spend time and money on public outreach again, whether that's a new survey. I think that they're getting ready to start season 2 of the podcast, should we move forward with this. So they're definitely planning to be all in on this and working together with the village to be as communicative as possible to Fairport, the village of Fairport, the residents, and the businesses about the opportunities with this.
We have a meeting tomorrow, should this pass. It's already scheduled.
Any further questions? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That will be unanimous, and let me know where I sign. Item number 7 is a motion by the Village of Fairport to authorize the clerk treasurer to make the following budget amendment. H5010.238 DPW administration leaf machine, $6,109.45, and a transfer from H5031 of the same amount. Can I have that motion, please?
So moved.
By trustee Nazarian,
Second.
by trustee Wojka. Very brief.
It's very simple. The time we got our initial estimates and so forth were back in the fall. It is now August, and costs have gone up. It's that simple. Same vendor, same provider, same truck, same everything. It's just the way it is, and it's still the cheapest vehicle.
Okay. Any questions from the board? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? That will pass unanimously. Item number 8 is a resolution by the village board authorizing additional expenditures from the capital reserve for the 2026-2027 capital expenditure plan.
So moved.
By trustee Wicca,
Second.
by trustee Nazarian. Megan and Brian.
This resolution just complements the budget amendment that you just passed. And
Okay.
it's required in order to make a change to the capital reserve.
Does anyone have a question? Okay, let's get that leaf machine. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? That makes me think of the note that we got from one of our residents who talked about, it was very complimentary to what our DPW does with regard to picking up leaves and everything along the curve. I believe he lives in the Winding Brook neighborhood. And I just think that our residents really appreciate the services that the DPW provides in that way. Okay, so that takes us to item 9, tactical urbanism concepts preliminary discussion. And that's up to you, Adam. And
Did you-
take it away.
I don't know, did we want
Did
to
I
do
miss
the
one?
supplemental? When does the supplemental swing in?
Okay,
It
what,
doesn't matter. I'm fine doing whatever.
why don't we swing you to after Oktoberfest? Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right.
That's totally.
So let's
Do it that
go,
way.
and we'll swing sustainability plan till after Oktoberfest. So let's move to Oktoberfest next. So we're going to jump from item number 8 on the original agenda to item number 2 of the supplemental agenda, which is a motion by the village board to authorize the 2026 Fairport Oktoberfest with final authorizations as determined by the village manager. Can I have a motion?
So
So-
moved. Oop,
I'll
Whatever.
give it to you because you're who I heard first. So that's trustee Nazarian and seconded by trustee Banoski. And I think we have questions. That's why. Yeah, come on up, Nancy. So we saw the form, at least I saw the form that came with the agenda today, and I had some questions. Over the last few months, we've had a lot of comments about music in our village, specifically late at night on the weekend beyond what's considered 10 o'clock. But we also had a lot of comments that we've heard about music that was amplified after 8 o'clock on a Sunday night. And it was, if school had been in session, it was a school night. And I saw on your listing that Thursday night there's music planned.
Yeah,
Can you give us an idea of what you were thinking in terms of how long that music was going to go?
yeah. We're doing nothing different than anything we've done in the last 17 years. We've always had music on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Thursday night will be Northside Johnny. They're locals' favorites.
I understand, but what time
Yeah.
are they going until?
Right, so the village code ordinance has been 11 p.m. for music and sound. And
I don't think it's 11. I think it's 10, isn't it? Is it 11? On a weeknight? It's 11 o'clock? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm only
So we
bringing this
stay-
up because while you may have been doing this for 17 years, there's been an extreme amount of sensitivity and comments about this over the last 3 months. So
Right.
that's why I'm bringing it up, because the board, as we discussed future events in the village back in May, I think, while we were willing to continue with events that have already been scheduled in the village, we were also paying close attention to events that included alcohol and agreed as a group that we weren't going to add any additional events. This has been going on for 17 years, but I'm trying to bring awareness to the sensitivity that residents of this village have brought to the board's attention about noise coming from amplified music on a weeknight or a weekend, end of a weekend night. And so that's why I'm asking, are you planning to go till 11 o'clock with that music?
Yes.
Because I don't think I can approve this if that's what you're planning to go till on Thursday night.
All right. What,
On what you sent, it says 10 for Thursday night.
then that's what we'll do.
Okay, I still am concerned about music going all the way till 10 o'clock, and your event ends at 10 o'clock, and now you've still got,
Is there a sound ordinance like for decibel that?
there is.
Right. So what if we were to make sure that we were measuring, which, is common.
Our police department can.
Right. And we also have, an app that'll do that. Yeah, I'm happy to work within whatever the guidelines are for the community. But I just want to be clear that I understand that is this just a concern for bars and restaurants that have been doing this, or for our festival? Like, has there been complaints about Oktoberfest?
Not about Oktoberfest, but
Okay.
about bars, restaurants, and other
Sure.
festival-like events
Right,
for music going on late at night.
right. Well,
'Cause
our amplification is
I may
not-
live a distance away, and
Yep.
there may be people who live on South Main Street, and that's a distance away.
Yeah.
My neighbors, and specifically came in here, they live on East Avenue and complained about B-side because B-side
Right.
was playing nonstop, and they couldn't, even with their windows closed,
Yeah.
get escape from the sound.
Well, I'm not familiar with what's been going on with B-side.
Sure.
I can say that when I've seen rooftop music, it's just out to the universe. Ours is contained in a tent that has sides, and we've been really careful to make sure that, over these years, we haven't had any complaints. And we aren't going to do anything differently. And I'm happy to have our sound guy reduce the volume if that would,
I
make
think
things
that
better.
helps a bit right there.
Happy to do it.
I would feel much more comfortable if you had an awareness to the volume, because
We always have an awareness because
I understand.
we live in the community too, and we have neighbors, and so we don't want to annoy neighbors, and we also
I have plenty of them who are annoyed in many different ways about music in the village and
that's
noise.
what makes your job a hard one, Julie. And
Yep.
I appreciate that you
As a
work so hard to
representative
help
of those
us.
individuals in the community,
Yeah.
it's my job as a member of this board to bring that up and to share it with event
No,
organizers.
I'm glad you did. It's important for us to all be aware of.
Okay. I would ask that you pay close consideration, and I believe on the weekends too, music ends at 10. When Music Fest plays on Saturday night, they end at 10.
Yeah, the code that we've followed has always been 11.
Okay.
But if something's changed and I don't know about that, then
go till 11.
yeah.
Okay. I have more questions, but I'll open it up. Does anybody else have something they would like to ask?
I do have a question. I know this reads very much as like an advertisement. There's no information about what the needs are from DPW, like when parking lots will be closed, when they'll be open, how cleanup happens. Is it what is it called, a sustainable event type of thing? Like I would very much like that information just to know for our DPW
Sure.
to plan out their activities. 'Cause
Sure,
they're
we-
super busy.
Yeah, no, totally. And that was some of the information that we put on the application part. Like what you're looking at is our fast facts. That's just an overview to give you a quick rundown. We do not ask for DPW support. We have our own arrangement for refuse removal. Everything happens within the junction. What was your other question?
Are you Well,
parking lots being closed off, does DPW do that, or can someone
Yeah.
else close off a parking lot?
No?
Yeah, we do that.
Right.
At the junction lot.
Yeah, okay. And then when does the lot get closed to make sure that, that you guys have enough adequate time for setup? Brian might know.
Yeah, we can provide that to the board with all the
I
information.
think on the form last year it said
Yeah.
Tuesday morning at 9 a.m.
It doesn't close then, but that's when we have the delivery of the porta potties, of the dumpsters,
Yeah.
and then the cooking equipment. But that's set off to the side. So that keeps the parking lot open. So the tent starts getting raised on Wednesday morning. So it isn't till like 2 in the morning?
2 in the morning.
Tuesday?
So, yeah, like Tuesday night after the bars close, we
Right.
we shut it down. And
So it'll be shut down Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Well, Sunday, everything gets torn down, so it gets opened back up.
And on the form from last year, it said not until 9 o'clock on Monday.
I think that's just a cushion, so if there was a problem with the tent getting taken down, it gives us a wiggle room.
Okay. I'm sorry, Heidi, I jumped into the middle of your
You're good.
questions.
I think that's what I have for now. I might have more.
Will you please stop by, call me, email
Are-
me, you've got my contact.
Is there going to be a need to shut down parking in any locations, or do you have any plans for a shuttle? Because you're taking up one of the parking lots that is serving that area, and we're always hearing about how much parking that we need in this village. Is there any plan that there are going to be no parking signs on any of the village streets that have challenges with people parking on them?
Is there a specific street, do you mean? Because we don't have anything.
Okay.
The only thing we've asked DPW in the past is to allow 2 of the parking spaces on either side of the entrance to be marked as handicap, but it's not closed, it's just designated for access. And then
Okay.
we have people that shuttle and drop off right at the entrance. So,
But you don't
no.
have any plan for any shuttles?
We haven't hired any shuttles, but we do have seniors from some of the residences, like Legacy and places like that, and they come with shuttles and
Okay.
drop, and then they go and park wherever they are, or they come back when they're done.
Okay. Adam, did you have anything? No. Okay. Tracy, did you have anything?
No, in the past, it's been a very well-organized event. I know it's looked forward to. I know it's kind of the exemplar for the county. We get people from all over, not only the entertainers immediately sign up, but, the bands and everything else. It really is a tremendously well-organized festival after 17 years. So I'm excited for it.
Sarah, did you have anything?
Nope.
I remember
Okay.
my other question.
Go ahead.
My question was about security, and is there coordination with Village PD that it
Yep.
has been happening?
Yep, I've already had a conversation with the new police chief, and I've talked with Ryan, and we have our own hired security, and they're going to coordinate, and then Brian's going to help arrange the meeting with the others just to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Great, thank you.
Any questions or I'm looking at you, Brian. I know that parking lot surface, we've had this discussion before about stakes in the parking lot versus no stakes in the parking lot. Are we currently okay with the tent being staked in the parking lot?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think we keep doing what we're doing. I think maybe you guys may want to think about what you do when we ever go repave it and see what that looks like. But yeah, everything's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll throw in that it is sustainable to the best of our ability because our vendors are using compostable dishes and silverware and such. So, yeah, we're trying to do our best there.
And you said that you're working with your own trash haulers. Will Impact Earth be picking up the sustainable?
Not this year.
So it's just going to go in the landfill?
It's compostable in the landfill.
Okay. All right. If there's nothing else, I think that We're ready to take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Then that will be unanimous. Thanks for coming in, and we appreciate your time
Thanks so
to
much,
talk
Julie.
about the event.
We really appreciate it.
And
Thank you.
I just ask you please be mindful of the level of sound in the village.
Of course.
And I know you guys have been doing it for a long time. It's become a very sensitive subject, like I said, over the last 3 months or so. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that will take us back over to, why don't we, while we're on this supplemental, since it's a motion that needs to be approved, how about if we go to item number 1, we'll jump back onto the supplemental agenda. Can I have a motion by the village board to authorize the clerk treasurer to pay Millennium Construction Incorporated payment number 11 totaling $99,891.15?
So moved.
By trustee Wojka,
Second.
by trustee Nazarian. All in favor? Or I'm sorry, any questions or comments?
Is this the last one?
Is this the last one?
One-ish, potentially?
Supposed to be.
Okay.
Fair.
I actually have a question. So I don't know what payment this is, if it's our last payment for, and this is for the streetscape project?
Correct, to close the grant out.
Okay, close the grant out. Where are we with repairs to the sidewalks?
It will be done. There are consistent conversations going on between the village's engineer, the village's federal inspector, Millennium in New York State DOT, and the concrete providers as to who's at fault. This is what happens when warranty work and nobody wants to own it. So they're trying to determine who does what, who pays for what, all that type of thing. And that's what's going on behind the scenes.
So at some point.
It will be done.
hopefully,
Yeah.
We will get these repairs?
Yes, there will. Yes, there will. We'll do it regardless. But we had a conversation about this 2 years ago, probably, when I talked to you guys about the mix, it being a new project, new mix, a lot of different things happening. Fairport is not alone in the spalling and other issues that are seen with the mix that was utilized in Fairport that was required of us. It's all over the state, but we can talk offline a little more about that if you'd like. But we're working through those, and it will be repaired. To answer your question in short version.
So if this is our last payment, I know sometimes when you have big projects, you do that hold back until everything is fixed. It's like you didn't punch that last thing in the punch list, so you don't get your last payment. But it looks like is there somewhere in there that warranty work will be taken care of if and when this is negotiated or figured out, whether it's next summer or who pays for it, as long as it's not our taxpayers?
We'll get back to the board on that. My understanding was this was the last remittance that was required, and the reason we were waiting on this was due to the fact that the conversation with the warranty work was being done. It will be done, but I can get back onto you as to what that's going to look like.
Just because we approve it doesn't mean you have to send them the check if you need to hold it
Yeah,
out.
It'll be worked out. I mean, it's all contractual anyway. No matter what, it's going to get repaired. No matter what, even if it does get done, and we end up doing some of that work ourselves, it's not like the village is going to be paying for 100% of that. We may pay a portion of whatever those spalling blocks look like, but there's other entities that are going to have to do some work as well. But I'll get back to you guys on that in a little more detail, just so you have it.
Do we want to wait in the detail before we approve it?
We have a motion, and we have a second. And if you don't want to approve it when we vote, vote no. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed?
I'm going to hold out for a little more information on the actual warranty work, because I did hear even if the village had to pay for
So
it.
all you need to say is no.
No.
Okay.
And no.
No from Adam?
Yes.
Okay. So that is 3-2, and it will pass with a notation that 2 members of the board are wanting to know more information about the warranty work. Okay. That will take us back to item number
9.
9. Tactical urbanism concepts, preliminary discussion. Adam,
Yes.
you're finally on.
And before I do get up, so what I was doing on my phone, I was looking it up, section 330-B, or -3B1, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. is what our noise ordinance is.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Yeah.
All right, well, we get this queued up here. So just bringing up a topic that over the past couple of years seems like it could be really applicable here. It's something that I became familiar with years ago and have begun or have had the opportunity to learn more and more about, going through different cities, villages, different conferences. My brain kind of doesn't turn off, so I'm always taking pictures and hearing how different municipalities, municipal leaders, community organizers have found fun ways to activate the places that they love, test ideas, and find ways to improve. And so one of these ideas that seems really, really strong is tactical urbanism. No, you're fine, you're fine. So really what it is, it's an approach that uses it's a temporary, inexpensive project with an eye towards long-term improvements. It goes by a couple different names, right? And where that comes from too is we're not saying you're turning a place into a major downtown. And you could see that there, planning by doing. I kind of like urban acupuncture. But this is something that has kind of going on for the past 15, 16, maybe 20 years. It's been applied around the world. You can see one resource here in the bottom right-hand side, Tactical Urbanists Guide to Materials and Design. It's cool. It's a free downloadable thing. I'm happy to send the link to that. And we can move on. So where did it come from? So there were 2 folks, Mike Leiden and Tony Garcia of Street Plans. They were seeing that there were places that, maybe there was a change that seemed like it makes sense. Everybody wants it, but there's too much red tape. Why does it take forever to do something? Sometimes there's what we call analysis paralysis, right? You get too caught up in trying to, figure out how many angels can dance on the head of a pin, right? And sometimes it's just a matter of, let's try something. And the benefits to this is, as I mentioned before, it's inexpensive, it's flexible, it can be short to set up, it can be done by a range of people, right? So it could be done by individuals, it could be done by community groups and organizations, or even by municipalities themselves. One of the great things too is that you don't need to have super specialized knowledge or super specialized equipment to make this happen. And when you do it, you can study the effectiveness and adjust it as you go along. Some of the limitations are, though, right, it doesn't last as long as a permanent project. That can also kind of be a benefit, just depends on what you're trying to do with it. It does not fix large systemic problems with just one project, right? You're not gonna, suddenly solve everything by taking care of something at a corner of a street. Do you mind going back one more real quick? And then it does mean that if you are going to do this with the idea of implementing something, like follow through, right? Because if you're not going to follow through, then it just kind of ends up with frustration.
Hey, Adam,
Sure.
before you go on, I'm trying to think locally of something that we might have done as a temporary tactical urbanism. So when the bridge in 2019 was going into the up position, we were thinking about how do we help people find their way around through the village. We created this Fairport on the Rise trail. It wasn't meant to be a 10-year permanent trail, but we utilized lighting and some painting on sidewalks, which, whether you like it or not, we got stuck with some stickers that were supposed to be removable that kind of have not come up. But it was a way of solving a problem, short term, not high expensive. We didn't put new street signs everywhere to get people around. Would you consider that an example of a tactical urbanism project?
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly one aspect of it. And a lot of it depends on kind of what the end goal is, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes in this situation, right, it's something, okay, we know this is going to be limited, but we need to do something to help encourage people to keep things active. So yeah, that is certainly an example. And we'll get into I'm not going to go right into the weeds too much on it, but show some examples of where people have done something similar to that or achieved other goals using this approach. But yeah, that's certainly an approach.
Thank you.
Yeah. So a few good things that there are to know. As I mentioned, it's not as though you need to have years and years of training to do this, but it is helpful to know that there are different sort of categories. And this is a page from that tactical book PDF that I mentioned there. So you have different ideas, right? And this kind of dovetails in, Mayor, with what you were mentioning before, too. Is it a demonstration? Is it a pilot? Is it something in between? Is it a long-term type of project? And each of those come with sort of different timelines. In other words, how long they last. And then that also tends to deal with how permanent they are. Yeah, sorry, this is more of a book, so it's more meant to be seen up close. But the short end of it is the pilot projects last for less time and cost less money than the long term. So there are a few things, right? Where can we use it here? Things that we've been hearing in the village from folks who come in and speak kind of where I'm standing right here. We hear, talking about speeding, on our street. So are there things we could do for traffic calming? Can we expand the number of the crosswalks that we have? Can we make our crosswalks even better, particularly near our schools? Is it possible to test potential bike routes? Is it one place versus another? Can we expand what we do with our public art, expand our family-friendly events, and test improvements even to the parks, the green spaces that we already have here, Parson Barnum, the locations down Heidi in your neighborhood as well. So these are a few quick examples. So this is some example of traffic calming. You can see here these are obviously not highly sophisticated installations, but what they do is they do get to the idea of slowing cars down, which makes it safer for not only people driving, but also people walking and biking. The one on the left is in Indianapolis. The one on the right is in South Bend. One of the neat things about the one on the right, too, is since you were able to measure it, they actually found that by doing these things, you saw higher instances of people going slower, which was the intent. Right. So it's helping them to move things forward. Crosswalks and intersections. These are really fun here, too. You could see here a little headline. That's about the picture below, which is in Baltimore there, where they took a whole bunch of pavement and they found a way to give more space to people. Rochester in downtown, you can see has done some neat things with their sidewalks, adding different colors and themes. I think we've all seen those if we've ever been to Jazz Fest. And then the bottom right-hand corner, I believe, is in Sleepy Hollow, where they've used some big friendly rocks and planters to decrease the distance that people have to cross at intersections, which makes it safer for people to cross too. And by doing that, it also slows cars down. So this whole thing feeds on itself really, really well. This is another page from the book. You can read into it some more. But Portsmouth did something similar to what I was just saying, decreasing the distance people have to cross. You can see it cost them only $2,000. Now, this was some time ago, but cost only $2,000. Tested it for 4 days, and then they could make a decision moving on from there. Some examples with bike infrastructure here. You can see there's folks, and this is what's fun too, is you can see it's super high tech cardboard on the left hand side there, but it involves the community. People get to come out. There's varying degrees, right? So you have there on the right hand side, Kalamazoo put in some neat looking wave delineators to test out some bike lanes to see how that works. You can see how intersections could be done too, and then there's even informational signage that can be done. Another example here, this is in Rogers. One of the things that was interesting about this was they tested different delineators. So the top left corner, you could see sort of short poles. On the right-hand side, they use what's sometimes called armadillos. They look like speed bumps, but they're very, very small. And so they wanted to test out how each approach worked. This one's fun here too, using public art. So the picture in the top left corner, that was done by Street Plans Collaborative in Asheville. And they took a whole street and they made it a place that could have cars, but also could be a site for festivals and gatherings for the community. You have cool things like streamer art on the right-hand side where you can take alleys or lanes and do something neat with them that just gives people kind of that Instagram moment that everybody loves to kind of show off. And then this was neat here. This was in New England where somebody was doing some sidewalk chalk. Community events, you have, it's okay, you're good. You have pop-ups where you can have, local restaurants or food trucks show up, local performances highlight, local talent. Likewise, you can activate the community. You see here, some kids getting together, having a good time, or even just movies, finding a place. In this particular instance, you can see people blocked off a parking lot, put up a whole bunch of candles, and they're showing a movie on a wall. Things that we could do to test out our parks and public spaces. I particularly love the one with the cardboard box because I don't know anybody who hasn't made a fort out of a cardboard box at some point in their life. And it's a great way to invite families to, say, a green space where you're trying to figure out, well, what could we want here? Tell everybody, all right, you just bought your new fridge, save the box, bring it on out. We'll have a good time. Other places in the top left corner, that was a parking lot that was maybe only half used in Miami. And so what they did was they turned it into a park to show and to test, how would people like it? How many people would be using it? It ended up being really successful. They have not implemented it yet, but the city keeps asking, when is this coming back? And then there's something kind of cool going on here, which is we're kind of already doing this anyway. So it might be, I'm just sort of showing you the name for the thing that we're doing here. Everything from, a lot of the family nights that we'd be doing at Lift Bridge Lane West, the farmers market, canal days when we shut down the street, to even when we have, the Halloween parade down Potter Park. So these are all things that, it's not something that, is wildly out of left field here. We're already kind of doing this. I'm through talking with other people, seeing other things that have happened and reading about it, highlighting some different locations and potential things that we could think about doing here. So kind of what would we do for our next steps? At our next working session, we could put some time in there. The people from Reconnect Rochester and downtown, in Sleepy Hollow, that one example that I mentioned before, and then even Street Plans Collaborative, the people who created this have said that they'd be free for our next session for us to have a whole discussion with them, because I know I'm dumping a lot, and these folks have done it a whole bunch and could tell us how that works. And then we could find a neighborhood, run a pilot. Pick a date, pick a rain date, maybe another rain date, and then just do it. So there we go. Try to keep it short, try to keep it still understandable so that I'm not speaking too quickly. But yeah.
I always have questions.
Yeah, let's go.
So I know that the Village Pittsford is thinking about doing some bike boulevards.
Okay.
And in Henrietta, they are also planning some bike boulevards. So would that be something that would fall into this bucket of tactical urbanism, of something that you could try short term to see how it goes, and then think about, well, do we want to try and do this, or do we want to try and go in a different direction?
Yeah.
Would that be a...
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And for anybody on the board who doesn't know what a bike boulevard is, I know you know what they are.
Yeah. So it's, well...
Kind of.
Yeah. When you're saying with a bike boulevard, are you meaning shutting down the street, or do you mean setting up a two-way cycle track kind of?
I think they were setting up a two-way cycle
Two-way cycle
track
track,
in
yeah.
addition to traffic.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. Because there is another term out there called a cyclovia, where you temporarily shut a street down. But yeah, a bike boulevard would be where you could test a place where you could put a two-way cycle track, which is just imagine a wider bike lane where people could go, in one direction or the other. I do know I was chatting with some folks from the city a few days ago where they're also going to be expanding bike boulevards. And I said, hey, depending on how that goes, would you be willing to come in and share your experience? Just what worked? What do you wish you had done? And they said, yeah, sure, no problem. Happy to share the knowledge.
And you're talking about City of Rochester, right?
That's correct.
Okay,
Sorry.
just want to make sure.
Yes.
I think city.
Oh, yeah. New York City?
Yeah.
Those people?
Well, actually, it's so funny that you say that, because I was just thinking about what New York City did during COVID. And
It was with street plans.
every restaurant went outside, right?
Yeah.
And there were these sort of temporary, sometimes, rickety little wooden structures where now everybody could eat outside, and they were movable. And some
Yeah.
restaurants, we were just there a few weeks ago, are still using those when it's
Yeah. Do you mind pulling that back up again, the presentation?
when they need to, or if they have overflow, if they have a special event. So they come and go, they can move. The other thing I wanted to mention is that Pittsford, if you've driven on 31 through Village of Pittsford on the way in from the Fairport area and on the way out, if you're going toward, I don't mean to mention a business, but Wegmans, that way, they tested out putting some plantings and some things. And now if you've driven through there recently, you'll see that there's a little median in the center with these pretty little flowers, but that is a place where they were having speed problems.
Yeah.
And so it's like a real life
Yeah.
version of this.
Yeah, we can get into that more, but yeah, the long story, the short end of the long story is if you give somebody a runway, don't be surprised if they try to take off on it.
Right.
And so that gets down to the design of the street. The reason I brought this up, upper right-hand corner there, that's in Cincinnati, and that's where they have some of the dining outside. You see it in Syracuse as well still,
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
I also love the idea of community members being physically part of.
Yeah.
It's a cool opportunity to work all together.
Yeah, when you do something like that, especially if you have planters or something, you can invite people out, come help us plant here, and we could, have fun together. So it's something the community does with everybody.
Thank you for your very short presentation. And I hopefully you'll get feedback from the rest of the board that they encourage you to invite somebody to come to September.
Yeah.
If not September, October's work session meeting, so that we could dive into one of these many topics a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
We all good? I should turn this off.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah, turn it off, please. Okay. Nice job, Adam. Nice job. Okay, so that takes care of those items, which takes us to our ongoing sustainability plan review, continued discussion. And all we have left from the last time is Section 9, Chapter 9, and Chapter 10. And then it's putting together all these notes into one document. Our staff still needs to review it, and we will absolutely have a time to review it and make more changes to it should it be necessary. And Liz, I know you're here tonight. I will take some of the information that from your when you came to the board meeting and spoke, and you may see some of a lean towards something out of that, as well as that was the purpose of asking about the geothermal. So while we might not have kept it in when we were in that chapter, we will likely add it back in a particular way. Just so you know, you can share the information. Okay, so on to environmental toxins. The goal of this section was reduce exposure to environmental toxins through the collection and proper disposal of hazardous material or through similar measures. And it, home typical, so the first paragraph talks about what those toxins are, and talking about the disposal. In terms of what the village has done for accomplishments, the village police department has the pharmaceutical location for the drug drop-off program. This was a while ago. It collected 107 pounds. I would suggest that that number may be higher. It's a very active site. And before we get to the end of this project, I will get the most updated measurements from Chief Whitaker or our staff downstairs. The village promotes and otherwise encourages residents to use household hazardous waste facility and programs in Monroe County. The action steps listed on here: work with the county to educate the public about pharmaceuticals in the drinking water, partner with the county to hold household hazardous waste collection in the village, phase out appliances, devices that use CFC-based refrigerant, partner with local recyclers to hold a community document shredding. So there are some things that are done here by the town of Perrington, but I think something that could be added to here that's not in this is continual lobbying by the village of Fairport for Monroe County to bring a hazardous or an eco center east to the east side of the county. Today, if you have paint, styrofoam, all of these things can be recycled. I think they take electronics, they take empty pill bottles, which should not go into your recycling bin. They will do shredding for you. You have to go to the other side of the county. You have to get in line. It's 2 days a week. And I think it starts at 12:30, 12 o'clock, and I have been told by the person who drives there occasionally from my household, you have to be in line at least a half an hour to 45 minutes because the line will be very, very long. So I would like to propose that we add to this, continue to ask Monroe County to consider adding an eco center to the east side of the county. Can you all support that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
One other thing I just thought of, actually sort of related to Adam's presentation, is I know that there were some villages north of Syracuse, like that, I can't even think of some of the names, like between Syracuse and Watertown, that Pulaski and in that area, that used to have little painted, I mean, similar to what we had on the sidewalks in the village about look up and stuff like that, about what you're putting in the sewer, so people aren't just like throwing whatever. I mean, that would be a pretty simple,
Well,
I can
let's ask, can we do something like that or propose that we consider having the DPW paint something near the drains?
I remember it being like a fish with a think about
Yeah,
what
they're,
you
they're
would.
very common. You can buy them, little placards or emblems that
Yeah.
you put
Some in
here.
my
So they
neighborhood.
basically be cautious or be mindful of what you put in here because all of this eventually it's stormwater goes
Right.
out to a body of water or a lake or a stream. I mean, it's an undertaking because we have catch basins by thousands.
Right, I'm just saying
but then
long term,
maybe
like
some
if
of
you
the-
did a few a year or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, you could do that and hit your bigger areas, your main streets, your more commercialized areas where debris and other things would be generally dumped in those areas.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely an option. Yes.
Has anybody done it with Pennywise?
It might help.
No, let's not go there. So I'm adding label catch basins, and if we need to, I'm sure at some point in time, there'll be a grant from somebody to help us purchase them, but look for ways that we can make it not cost-friendly, but defer the cost to a grant if possible, and over time, start installing those. So I'm just putting it in here. That doesn't mean that we have to have a plan for how this gets rolled out. Anything else that anybody would like to add to this?
Maybe it's going to be covered under.
Maybe it's going to be covered under communication, but just to actively promote a lot of the events that are out here, because I know Parrington does it, I know Jens Lunsford's does them, and we do have shredders and stuff over here. I think if we could just collect that information and actively promote these recycling events on, even in our very close area.
I think that'd be a worthy addition, because sometimes you just hear about it last minute. I always hear about the one that happens for Parrington, and it's always on my birthday. And
Happy birthday.
Thank you. In May. But I think that would be
I think they've
promoting.
come up this fall too.
I know they do like one. They do two a year over there, I think. But yeah, I think
We generally share via social media all their stuff in
Yeah.
recycling and yard waste pickups and hazardous waste pickup dates.
Yep.
Okay. I added that, work on doing a better job of helping to share information from any other pickups that are around the area. And again, while they do it mainly in Parrington, there's nothing to say that we can't have a mini day in the village or see what it takes to create, or if it's because we don't have enough space to line cars up and do something like that. Okay, that takes us to communication. Inform our residents of the sustainability plan, other environmental policies and programs through written and electronic communications. So since we met about, I think it was talking about in the FMC section back, or the Fairport Electric and electricity back towards the beginning. We talked about promoting Fairport Electric, and one of the ways to do it is perhaps partnering with the town. So I've done some outreach to the town. I need to follow up on that outreach. And I think one of the things, if it's not in here, is the idea that we take information from the village, see if we can get a page or 2 pages that face each other in the quarterly guides that come out from the town of Parrington. Some of it would be Fairport Electric, but then some of it might be specific to the village, and utilize that. One, it's not creating more additional mailing pieces that come from the village, but 2, it's using something that already exists. And, I've had a conversation with the village manager, even if there was a small fee for us taking a page in that guide, it's already going out. I think it's better if we can utilize something that already exists versus having to go through the costs of just coming from the village. And it does hit all village residents. So I'm adding that see how you can find ways to communicate the sustainability information through the town of Parrington to village residents. Rebrand the website. This is asking for move the village composting tab to the community pull down. We can add that to quick links. That's easily done. So, and I think that in this communication, create videos about composting and recycling. I think that we could do some work around that. There's a lot of people who've moved to the village in the last 4 or 5 years who are still not aware that we have a composting program. So I skipped down to C, and I think that we could do a better job of communicating about that and getting the message back out to folks in our community. People forget. So A is definitely doable. Update Fairport's slogan. I think that's something that we talk about. For example, add on to live, work, and play the words grow, preserve, or protect. I think that's up for discussion, that we can definitely leave that as an item. Create a village sustainability logo to recognize village businesses that are striving towards our sustain. I think that's a challenge. we can talk about it in depth, but I'd have to talk with our attorney just to make sure that we're not crossing the line doing that. Or showing favoritism towards specific businesses. But we can talk about that further. An eco-friendly garden sign with a logo to recognize yards that are healthy habitats for native species and pollinators. Develop a set of criteria for residents to be eligible for the sign and acknowledge them in the village newsletter.
We don't have any.
I think that people would have to request it. It couldn't be something like, hey, we're going to put this in your private property. And it's going to go in your lawn and not on your tree lawn.
I mean, can I?
Sure, jump in.
I was just going to piggyback on that. Every no mow May, you know, we always save a piece of our yard, and I've planted some stuff out back that is completely friendly for our pollinators and low growth. But maybe have a discussion around that, because every spring it comes up and it's like, how much can you leave? Is it okay? It's kind of been a government decision to say you can, you know, participate in No Mow May, but I think there's a bigger discussion that needs to be had around that.
I think if it's in your front yard, you have to comply with the village code.
That's why I mean the communities that are all in have had discussions throughout the
Sure.
community and, you know, have recognized either a portion or we're allowed to because we're committed to this, and explain it and educate and have discussions about No Mow May. I think it has potential that we could have discussions about how to implement it. Do we want to implement it? Size limits or only, whatever. But I know that every spring it comes up, at least with the people I'm talking with.
I think that the board could entertain a discussion about that before you get to May or before we get to May and decide how we manage that. Is it something that is manageable or not? Just because you live in a village. And what does it entail? You know, is it something that you can leave a 1 foot by 1 foot or 2 foot by 3, or, you know, like 1 yard square in your front yard? Or is it something that even that, so 3 feet by 3 feet?
And it may take more community education too, so the complaints don't come in, you know, or the misunderstanding about how someone's not mowing their yard, or there's potential there, so we'll talk about it.
Will it also be more noticeable, I think, if there was like a noticeable patch? Like I walk by your house and I see this big patch, I'm gonna be like, hey, what is that? It's awareness.
Yep.
Okay. I'll add that discussion about No Mow May on there.
I like it.
Initiate a spring program in the village linked with not-for-profit and nonprofit and community partners such as Color Fairport Green, for example, a Starve the Landfill program. I don't know if we can initiate it. We could have conversations with them and see if there was a way that we could work together with them. I don't know enough about it to say yes, it's doable, or no, it's not. So I would say it requires a little more discussion to flesh it out and see if it's something that's the board is able to take action on or not. Create an incentive program for children to become a sustainability superstar. Volunteers can design or adopt a program to educate children on recycling, composting, food waste, or other facets of sustainable living. Offer recognition at village board meetings to those who meet milestones within the program. I'm not sure that we are the right place for this.
Yeah, I feel like that could almost go in with F in terms of like working with Color Fairport Green, or with if we have our student representative working with the each of the schools has like a garden club and whatnot, and they might be able to be the ones that do the education and get the word out, and we just say thank you, good job,
I guess
or recognize them.
I saw it is when F and G going into the school somehow, and I know Color Fairport Green has really made some great strides with the education of, of kids and programming and all of that. And but I see it coming in through our schools, younger the better. And then anyone who wants to be recognized, Scouts, Eagle Scouts, any of that. I mean, we're great at recognizing achievements and accomplishments of our students. But I guess I see it going more in a school piece or the parks program. Again, you're going to have, a group of, you're going to have an audience, Our summer park program is very healthy, for kids being in that summer program for 8 weeks or 2 weeks or 6 weeks. I mean, there's a lot of potential to put in programming there too. You know what I mean? I've always thought that's a great place for bike safety as well.
That would be town.
Yep.
Would it be possible to have Color Fairport Green come in and do something like the Family Fun Nights and do it educational for kids about sustainability and recycling? I mean, they could just do a night or 2 sessions. I mean, it would, if that starts to become a more regularly, expected venue for families to go down, it might be fun for kids to do something like that.
I know they did a family night, so maybe we can promote those better for them.
Yeah.
They did one a couple months ago. I was
Yes.
there. But yeah. But maybe from a government point of view, is the mayor's going to bring us back full circle. Discussions, but maybe not our place here.
I don't know that we can, that it's kind of, the time is going to fly right now for what's left of family fun nights, but we could ask that next year,
Yeah.
should we continue those family fun nights, if maybe there's an opportunity as they're getting organized to have Color Fairport Green and be out there with kids, and here's what you can do to compost, and here's what you can do to recycle. I don't think we can get it in
Oh, no. It would
for
it'd have to
for
be
this
next
year, especially if it rains on Wednesday again.
I know. God.
How do you know it's
I
Wednesday?
pardon?
How do you know it's Wednesday?
Because it's raining during family fun.
Ding, ding, ding.
Well, only when it's game night.
Yes.
It doesn't rain when there are animals coming.
I don't know.
So let's put that on there, that perhaps we could partner with them on the family fun nights to do that education piece. Create or adopt a community-wide outreach program to reduce food waste similar to Rochester's Food is Treasure. I'd say leave it in there, but I don't know if it's going to be, I'd have to look in further and see what that program is about, or ask staff to. I don't know exactly where that outreach is happening. Partner with local schools to facilitate village board member visits to schools in Fairport to talk about what the village is doing to help our environment on a local level and how students can get involved. That's very doable. We get calls from teachers today. I think that the work that the tree board is doing is partnering with those middle schools.
Yeah, with Brooks Hill and JP this year, we had 2 schools.
So I think that's it. It may not be a village board member, it might be a tree board member, but I also see when both the incentive program for children to become a sustainability superstar, that may be something that someone on the tree board would like to get involved with and share information from the village. I see a couple different ways that this could play out, whether it's getting Color Fairport Green involved in the family fun nights, or someone from the tree board. We're already doing that coordination with them around Arbor Day and planting of trees, that there might be an ask for someone from the tree board to come and talk with those groups prior to the planting. I think they may have actually in the past year or so. So,
Yeah, well, yeah, and I think for me the big thing, I'd love to chat more just with some of these folks to learn about it, because I think for me some of these seem like interesting goals, but I need to learn a little bit more about them. Like, if we're going to do a program, what does it mean? Are there going to be quizzes? What's the curriculum?
No.
Right. But then I don't know. It's been a while since I've been in the Scouts. I don't know if there's like a sustainability merit badge. Maybe there's something you could pull from that, but
I think there
it's a little
probably
nebulous
is.
right now the way it's.
Right.
Yeah, it
And
needs
this is
to be a little more
communication.
definition.
Support.
Yeah, yeah.
Healthy communication, not necessarily initiate these things, but.
But, I think I like the idea of whether it's somebody from tree board, or it could be somebody from village board, or somebody else who works for the village, talking about different aspects
sure.
of what we do.
I think we should leave those all in there and just explore them as we move forward. Okay, so this has been a long journey. It'll be an even longer journey to update with some of the information that we've talked about in this meeting. But my next step and the next plan is to take this to do some editing, clean it up a bit, and then provide it to our staff so that they can give some feedback, and that we will come together either, I don't know, September sounds like a lofty goal to me right now, because I know Adam's going to hopefully have a guest here. Either September or October, we'll come back with this and see where we are and review everybody's feedback that's come through. I'm going to say September or October, because I want to leave enough time for our staff to have, when they're not already doing their job, to review this.
September's really soon.
It is.
I'm going
It seems like it's a long time away. I keep going, when is
It's
September
like
coming?
next week.
It's in 2 weeks.
So I have an admission to make. I thought Music Festival was last weekend, because I'm so confused when this month has just been.
August seems long.
It's been fast.
It does.
5 weekends. It's goofed up everybody's.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I
5 weekends.
I
in
thought it was
August.
last weekend, and one of my neighbors said, if Music Fest had started tonight, there would be cars all over our neighborhood. And I'm like, you are absolutely right. And so I got straightened out on Friday night. All right. I think that was the last thing that we had on our agenda. I wanted to give everybody an opportunity, if you had any updates. I'll quickly, Sarah, Heidi, and I all attended the OSED meeting. And I think Sarah's attending next month, right?
Yep.
So there are front porch grants still available. Most of the time that OSED was working through in their meeting was budget planning for the future. And they're going to be looking at ways they can maximize and improve the space that they're using within Village Hall. The DRI was included in their budget, which is good because it's now included in our plans for this fall. In addition, I attended the Monroe County Association of Villages meeting last week, which is all the villages, the 10 villages in Monroe County get together and talk. After we go through some discussion topics, we talk about what we're doing. And one of the interesting facts that I thought the board would be interested in, and Brian looked at me like, what are you talking about? The Village of Pittsford has an arboretum someplace in that small area. They're going to be using goats to do their weeding. And
Did you say?
I don't know about Parrington. There was another village who was there. I can't remember who because I just
Can we
wrote
get
down
goats?
Pittsford. Well, hang on. And I talked to the mayor of Pittsford, and I'm like, where are you getting your goats from? So she was supposed to send me that information. But in my mind, there's this area that belongs to the Canal Corporation and OSED that has a lot of knotweed in it. in that direction. So headed that way on the canal. And maybe we all need to lobby Brian to get us some goats for a rental to help the DPW with some of that weeding so that we don't have to use toxic substances to get rid of that Japanese knotweed.
I see him nodding.
We don't use any toxic substances. That's why we have Japanese knotweed that's 6 feet tall.
Mayor,
Yes.
this spring, Whitehaven Memorial Park used goats to clear land. So that's a very local source right there
Yep.
on Marsh Road. So give them a call. Most of them are village residents anyway.
Well,
But yeah, they cleared their whole new expansion in the back. They used all goats.
so I thought that was an interesting fact to learn
Brian's nodding.
from
That's approval.
from our meeting. We'll discuss it further. I just thought it was like, that's an innovative way that's very environmentally friendly to clean up some of the overgrowth that we have. I think that's it from my meetings. Something that I want to put in front of you, East Rochester, moved some of their village board meetings outside. That they moved to a park. They brought a little sound system. I don't know if they were able to, well, they have that channel, that cable channel, so somebody broadcast it through the cable channel, but maybe we can bring a remote Zoom connection. We get a thumbs up from Scott. It can't be on a Wednesday night when it's raining. But they said that it was a really great way to, with a change of venue, to just do something a little different. So that's something the board should consider.
It's like when your English class goes outside to do writing.
Yes.
Well, she knows.
Those are the best days.
And I think that's all I had, and I will pass it this way.
I found the farm and the cost, so if you're ready to go, I'll hit the button and we're good.
Not today. Let's just discuss.
I don't have anything of import to tell everybody.
I don't have anything either, but school starts next
Yes.
week.
It does. It's kind of a unique schedule. In the
Yeah.
past, we've had it, but the students are actually going to go back for a Wednesday, Thursday prior to Labor Day, which is kind of a test run. But with our new schedule and everything else, because we have a very long August this year with too many weekends. So the kids really will be going back to school.
It's not too many weekends, just an unusual amount of weekends.
A lot of weekends.
5 weekends is fantastic.
Right.
Every month should have 5 weekends.
Yeah, so the kids will be back to school before Labor Day, midweek, and then we'll kick in after Labor Day, which is different.
And all you parents out there, please tell your children to look up when they are crossing the street and look to the person driving the car to make sure that they are slowing down and acknowledging that you are crossing the street.
Eye contact, good.
Adam, anything?
I know we've got a tree board. I know I read the email. Do you remember what day it is? No, okay. As soon as I find out, I'll send it
Coming
around.
soon.
Tree board meeting.
I thought I couldn't speak here.
Only if you're asked to by the board member with a question from the board.
It's usually like mid to late September is usually the first one when we start back in.
Expect
Yeah.
a tree board meeting, and you've got stuff you can take to the tree board meeting and say, hey, what do you guys think about this? Okay, moving on down the line. Trustee Briggs.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay,
It's been a quick 2 weeks.
it sure has. Okay, with that, our upcoming meetings, there's a village board meeting Monday, September 14th, which seems like 3 weeks away now because there's an extra weekend.
Right.
It's very
very late.
confusing. It's going to be that way till the end of the year, I think.
Yep.
So our next village board meeting is Monday, September 14th, 2026, 6 p.m. The village board work session is Monday, September 28th. That right there seems like way too late to be having a work session meeting, but that's okay. September 28th, 2026 at 6 p.m. Both meetings will be held in this room unless we find a place to go have it outside and the weather cooperates.
With the
And
goats.
With the goats.
with the goats, yes. We'll be inviting goats to that meeting. And with that, would like to ask the board for a motion to adjourn
So moved.
by trustee Briggs.
Or wait, did you? No. Yeah.
Whoever.
Okay, fought over by trustee Banowski and Woika. We'll give it to trustee Banowski. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Have a great evening. Thank you, everybody who joined us live here in the room. Thank you to our special guests, Nancy Regis and Matt Haggerty.